I'm like thinking about my wife, her finding out like how I died. It's so stupid. Him
With
and
one
JP split fins. He was swimming around with one fin and he didn't ask for help and he drowned. Welcome back to another episode of the Perk Fit Podcast. Got a special guest with me tonight, and a special friend. That sounds super weird. But we've talked about this before recently, but we've been friends for a long time, but not as long as we thought.
That's right.
That's what we discovered. But we've known each other for 7+ years.
Yeah, it definitely feels more like 15.
Yeah, it feels like over a decade. And I think we'll just touch on it tonight, but like we took a trip, yachting,
Like a 50-something foot
catamaranning.
Yeah, full sails, everything.
So one of our friends was having their bachelor party, and we were invited, and it was sailing around the BVI's, and we're like, okay, we'll do that, we'll go, and we really bonded on that trip.
Dude, it was the
or
best.
really just got to really actually know each other.
From you introducing John Bellion to me to us one night docking on a random island and then challenging a bunch of other guys to have a boat race the next morning.
Day. Yeah. So like, I forgot all about this. We had a wild captain who was hired last minute. Like you talked about this last time we tried to record this.
Yeah, the bachelor and his older brother, they were, boaters. They raced, all this stuff. They were big sea boys.
Sea boys.
Just
yeah,
the sea
right.
boys.
Yeah, the sea boys.
And we didn't have a captain, and at the last minute they realized, they're like, yo, we can't actually captain this. So the owner of the company that was renting us this huge catamaran was like, I don't have any licensed captains to give you, but I do have a buddy. He's got no papers. He's basically a pirate. He's never owned a house or lived on shore at all.
Yeah, he lives on the water.
But I can call him real quick. And he immediately said yes. And the next week, it was just...
And we did an overnight. We were just going to hang around wherever we were at. But he was like, no, we're going to go. You guys want to go to the BVI's? Like, we're going to go. And the next morning, or that night, he was like, we're going to sail 90 nautical miles overnight, open ocean crossing over at night. And we're like, okay, sure.
He sailed for 13 hours. Well, he's tried to sleep. I think you and I were in the chef's bunks in the front, and I was just getting tossed. We made it. Almost didn't one time. We split fins, a pair of fins, because we didn't want to admit.
Oh, we were snorkeling or diving or snorkeling. I wasn't diving. They were diving.
I was dying.
Yeah, we were dying. So we decided to split. There was only we didn't have enough fins for everybody.
Right.
Normally, I don't know if you've been diving. I don't know if you're a diver or a snorkeler, but you get 2 fins for your 2 feet, and we didn't have enough. So we're like, fuck, I'll do one, he'll do one, and we can do it. And we nearly drowned.
Oh yeah,
we nearly both drowned, but refused to ask for help because we're stubborn. And it wasn't until one of the real divers and swimmers were like, "Are they good?" And we're like,
we weren't talking. Once we stopped talking,
yeah, we couldn't speak because we were
in our eyes.
We were surviving. We were trying not to drown. I'm like thinking about my wife and her finding out how I died. It's so stupid. Him and
one
JP split fins. He was swimming around with one fin and he didn't ask for help and he drowned. Can you imagine? And that's all I could think about. I was like, this is the craziest way for me to die.
Yeah. So after that, I just decided I guess I'll get in shape.
That's what happened. No, but there's so many stories to be told, but no one cares except you and I. But that's where we got to know each other, and more.
Yeah,
we met before that, but
right. We met at a campsite, and you showed up looking like you were first in line at every drop that day with the freshest gear, triple white Adidas boosts. And I was like, who is this dude? And then after that, we went sailing a couple months later. And then I was like, wait, this guy has like good taste in music. You got good taste in like movies, like witty. Oh my gosh.
From the tri-state area.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, wait, Philly, New York. I'm like, oh, dude, this is game over.
Yeah, this is gonna work.
So after that, it was, you started making some content on Instagram, and I was always, at that point, I'm like, oh, I'm a fan, like just as a person. And then you're making this content. I just decided to, like, hey, let me not just like watch this. Let me try some of these things out. So drug my butt to the gym begrudgingly, and then struggled for like 6 months to just show up and do whatever you were posting. And then I think it was like 6 months, something like that. I sent you a pic and was just like, dude, it's working. Thank you so much. And then your response to me made me like kind of go like, oh, man, maybe it is working. Because you were like, dude, this is awesome. And yeah, after that, I was like, I guess I'll take it more seriously, which meant just going instead of like, missing like 5 days or 3 days.
Yeah.
And it was lights out. It really did change my life.
I'm gonna throw the photo up, but you had an insane transformation. And it was so crazy that I was so amped on it. It was like I had helped people before, and friends and family earlier that had pretty good transformations. But like when you look at yours, I've used that photo so many times it feels like cheating. Like I stopped using it because I was like, it's too easy, Like if I show them, and it's completely true. Like nothing's photoshopped, nothing's enhanced, it's just like this is a photo from his phone. This is the photo from his phone. It's like that's nuts.
It's same gym, like same mirror.
Yeah,
and there's no protein, no supplements, like nothing. That was just straight up like, all right, I guess I'll show up and move some stuff around. And actually, the only thing I did differently is I just stopped drinking, and then I stopped eating past 8 p.m.
And you start working
and
out,
working
obviously,
out.
Yeah.
But besides that, it
That
was
was
like
it.
nothing. Yeah.
If you had to give someone advice on their fitness journey, what would it be? I'm saying this because we yield questions. We receive the questions. We get questions, and then we answer them. Typically, on the podcast, they're usually fitness related.
Mm-hmm. What's like the most typical question you get?
The most common questions I get are like all related to creatine, or like I can't build muscle. How do I get rid of the fat? How do I get abs? Those are typical questions. Another typical question is like, what advice do you have for somebody on their fitness journey? And I want you to answer.
Want me to answer that?
Yeah.
All right.
Because you've been on a journey, and it's nuts. So I think you got something to offer.
Well, okay. Let me say this: there is the advice that becomes a cliche is only a cliche because you haven't actually tried it out. The truth is consistency. Like we already know that. So why is that actually not the thing that's practiced by everybody? Like the question is never what do I do? It's why don't I do what I know I should do? The biggest thing for me was I had someone that I knew as a person. I followed you because like you were an actual friend, and then you started posting this stuff, but I was following before, like when we were hanging out in real time, but I got to choose something. It wasn't like because I was in the mirror and I was like, I'm going to change my body, or because someone said it to me. I got my own quiet journey of like choosing something because it was like a hobby. It just happened to involve me, but I was just curious. Like, how do you what's your journey on watching some kind of show? It's like, oh, I was flicking around. Oh, I saw this. I was interested in the character or the trailer or the whatever, but I got to choose it. Like I had infinite options. I've never done it before. This time was different because it didn't feel like I was, following some distant person that's perfect and blah, 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 blah. Like, oh, dude, this is Corey. I like him as a person. And man, I like, we get along in all these other areas. I'm like, I wonder if I'm missing something here in this fitness journey. You know, is there something that clearly has something that I don't, because he's super like awesome in all of these other areas. It's not just like you can't talk about anything but bodybuilding. And that honestly made it easy for me to like just focus on that part, because it wasn't the defining factor of you. And I didn't want this to be the defining factor for me, because if I fail, then I'm really nothing.
Right.
So it wasn't like, if I get in shape, then I prove to myself. No, it was literally just curious. Like, and it felt like nobody dictated to me how it should go. So I had the ability to stay curious. And that's what made it consistent, not me deciding to be consistent. That's pretty much, I got to choose it all on my own, like every step.
Yeah. How, if somebody's struggling to choose or just to like get going, what would you say to them?
Find the way that you learn. Learn how you learn. And then you can give yourself to anything. But usually people stop being curious because now they're just using their imagination to live in shame. You miss a day, you miss a day. So if you're like disappointed in yourself, right, and you let that linger more than a day, that turns into shame. And then shame becomes like your headmaster. So you might want to go to the gym today, but then shame reminds you that you didn't go yesterday. And so you're like, oh, I didn't go yesterday. You're right. Like, I'm already behind. And then your brain starts to seek comfort because now it's starting to feel pain and guilt. So like, oh, you know what? We're hurt today, or we're tired, or whatever. And it starts coming up with all these excuses that might be valid to some level of you. And then you agree because you don't want to be in the pain. So like, being disappointed is super, super healthy. That's how we grow.
Yeah.
But once we identify with it and we are our action, you know, our previous action, so to speak, we have another choice to make. So it's not choosing to go to the gym or not. It's choosing to manage your thoughts every day, regardless of whether you do or not. And that stacks up over time. Like, when I felt shame about my body, if I wasn't crushing it, then I was being crushed by that ideal expectation. It was like 100, it was all or nothing. And the all or nothing is like, that's the worst way to start anything. But when you're in shame, you're at the center of your own universe, and that universe sucks.
Yeah.
So, you know, being bummed out 100%, like, that happens every single day. I find that if I get into a situation in my head, I'm not going to get out of that situation with my head. Like, if I got in with my mind, I'm not going to get out with my mind.
Yeah.
So I'll call a friend. You know, I'll get out of my head for a second and just listen to something else. If I can think it, then I can probably trick myself. But if I have somebody else tell me, then I'm just listening and I have a chance for a new thought.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, that's why community is important, and having at least one person that can help keep you not just accountable, but like just to be there for you.
100%. You got to be able to be okay with the fact that, like, you're about to hop on a roller coaster and there's no harness. Mm-hmm. Like, that's how you're going to learn what parts you're instinctively going to use first, you know? And everybody has this. That's the thing. Like, nobody has a body that's just absolute, like, garbage. They might have turned it into that, but every body has its own genetic, like, pluses and minuses, you know? I can't just, like, get a sculpted chin or just, like...
That's a fucking dimple, dude. That's crazy.
Oh, dude, I got the booty chin out the wazoo. That's
so,
that Gentile,
like...
dude. But I noticed, like, my shoulders blow up first. And so I went off the fact that I'm like, oh, my gosh, my shoulders are responding. That's the first thing that responds. Instead of looking at my belly and going like, I still got that. Or, oh, my thighs still look, but, or, oh, my arms aren't that big. Like, that first thing that happens is genetic. That's your body just saying, thank you. Like, and the whole thing's a partnership. So, like, treat your body like a friend, like, you know, and you start to have these little things where you can celebrate. And then another huge thing is take a picture every day. You don't have to send it to anybody. Just take a picture every day because we forget.
Yeah.
We forget so
You
fast.
see yourself every day. So every day you look in the mirror, you see yourself that day. Nothing's changed. The last time you saw yourself, nothing's changed.
Right.
And that's why I tell people at least once a week, take a photo. Because between it can't just be the scale for obvious reasons like that. It fluctuates based on food volume and a bunch of other random shit. Like you could be 7 pounds heavier tomorrow morning.
Right.
It doesn't mean you gain 7 pounds of fat overnight. No. So you have to have another metric, and that is, looking in the mirror, or which we can't trust because we look in the mirror every day and we have body dysmorphia anyway. So you need to take photos.
I didn't look at my own pictures for at least a year. I just took them every day. Like, that's not true. I looked at 6 months. First time I even looked at a before and after, the first thing I did was send it to you. And I was just like, oh, this is wild. Or like, I had a guy come up to me one day, and he went up to me and he had this Google Translate out, and he was like, juice.
He thought you were
Juice. And I was like, what? And he's trying to say creatine or steroids. And basically he was trying to like show me pictures of like, oh, you're on the sauce. I was like, so, what? No, not at all. What do you think I'm doing? And he's like, oh, yeah, I've seen some like, basically, I saw a bunch of change. You must be cheating. And that gave me so much motivation. I was like, I haven't even done protein yet.
Yeah,
I haven't done creatine.
I'm just dabbling in this.
I just stopped drinking and I went to bed. Well, 3 things. I stopped drinking. I ate 3 meals a day consistently at the same time. And I went to bed, or I just stopped eating at like 8 p.m.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Dude, your body wants to show you so bad what it's capable of.
Yeah.
Like how we feel about like potential or da-da-da-da. Like your body as a separate entity is like so stoked to work with you and connect with you and like see what it feels like to actually be in relationship with yourself. It's crazy the benefits, not just strength wise, but how much your body like tends to your mind and your heart. You become so much more at ease with hard stuff because you're doing it every day. You become so much more aware of, ooh, I have this tendency, or like my own things that I would try to cover up because at the gym, I can't do something or I get hurt. It's like, I know why that happened. It wasn't like an identity thing. It was like, oh, that was dumb. I didn't do it the right way, or I'm too weak. And so like when I have weak mindsets or I have a weak thought, I'm like, I need to strengthen that, as opposed to adopting it and going,
That's me.
That's me. Like that, dude. It's so important to start having fun, getting in shape. It's so wild how everybody in your circle benefits. You know?
Yeah, your mind is working. But like just like mental clarity that comes with you working out and sticking to a schedule. Every time you don't feel like you want to go to the gym and you go, like you unlock something in your brain.
Totally, dude. When I remember like walking around and I went from like a 34 waist. I was full on slipping out of 30s, but I was probably like a 28 waist. And I put a belt on to keep the pants up. It was a crazy feeling. It was like I'm but what was wild is I started having some negative thoughts about some other situation, and this thought immediately happened where I was like, I could feel my stomach, my abs, and like where the pants were sitting. And I'm like, I had a physical moment where I go, look what I could do.
Yeah.
This is shocking to me. This is a really good thing. And I revisited that thought process as like, oh, you're a newbie. You're angry, you're bitter, you're resentful, you're whatever, trying to win this fake argument in your head because you don't know what to do. Oh, I remember when I didn't know what to do with this stomach. And so just like started treating...
I'm going to figure this out.
Started treating the thought like a part that was like just immature and young, and started like actually coaching this thought before I adopted it. And like it just like revealed itself as like grief. And I was just able to grieve like with this thought and this situation that was happening in my life. And after that, it was gone. Like it was actually gone. And I'm like, I can't, this is amazing. I have a physical embodiment. I can feel something that I've actually like made progress towards, and it made it possible to actually think about the thoughts I was having and train them, as opposed to just like, don't think that, or now I'm angry that I think that.
Right.
You know, like it's basically just throwing a temper tantrum. And so when you have a body that's also confirming those same thoughts, it's so hard to get out of that. Like you need a buddy. You need somebody that doesn't live in your body to tell you how they see you, or a workout buddy. I wouldn't have been able to do it alone. I had a buddy that came with me every day, you know, and having that like, oh crap, I don't want to go, but like he's already on his way, and like, okay, I'll go. Like I wanted to shave my head because I was like starting to bald, and my wife was like, I love you if you're bald. I love you if you're fat. She goes, kiss me on the forehead. She goes, choose one. It was right when I had the clippers. I was going to shave my head. So I was just like, yo, I'm going to get shaved so I can shave my head.
My wife said the same thing to me. She said, I'll love you if you're bald or fat. I said, well, I'm never going to be fat. I was like, but I am losing my hair. I'm like, I'm going to shave my head. And I shaved my head, and I was like, I could do this, but I look fucking terrifying. I look like an escaped convict.
I love it so much.
And I was like, I know that I will have anxiety, and I know that I'll be overcome by this constant thought of me scaring people or like me looking like this. I don't care about it because I could be bald and I could do it. But I'm like, physically. But I'm like, emotionally, mentally, this isn't going to work for me because I'm going to constantly be thinking that I'm like scaring children or whatever.
I think when you shaved everything, when you shaved your head and you had like a little stash and everything, I was like, dude, this fits. Like this totally fits. But it's also an East Coast thing because I just thought about, I'm like, I'm going to wear like a beater, shave head, little beard, and no glasses. Every single time I would do that, all my friends would be like, you would be terrifying. You'd be absolutely terrifying if you did that. And look, I'm not terrifying.
Well, you don't have a beater on. But you are kind of scary. I need to reel this in, but I don't know where to reel it to. I mean, one thing you said was consistency. Like that's really important, and we talk about it a lot on our team. Like consistency is the equalizer. It's like maybe someone shows up every day for 3 weeks straight, 4 weeks straight, or maybe even a full like 6 weeks. They show up every single day, and then they never show up again. And then you show up. Maybe you don't hit every day. Maybe you get 3 of 5 or whatever, but you do it for years.
Right.
Who's winning? Like who's making more progress?
Right.
It's hard to in the day-to-day when things get hard or when they're not hard, but just do it every day. It's like hard to see what the future looks like if you keep showing up. But I try to convince people every day that if they do, they're going to get there. They're going to get to where they want to be. But the problem is you'll never get to where you want to be. That is part of the problem. But also it's amazing because you can keep taking your body to different levels. Higher levels, bigger devils.
I will say this. When it comes to curiosity,
it killed the cat.
Try to call me Whiskers. No, consistency can be a phrase that people just go, of course you can be consistent, and then they fill in the blanks, right? Mm-hmm. Even though it's completely in your control. But being consistently curious is what's going to keep you coming back. Otherwise, all you have to do is be critical. If you're not curious, you're going to critique. And if you're just critiquing and being critical, you're going to find whatever reason you're looking for. You will find it.
To quit. You mean?
Yeah, you'll find whatever you're looking for. So you might as well be curious because you're going to find that. So be consistently curious. you'll blow your mind. You'll be unrecognizable in a year.
And you were unrecognizable. People were like, "Is that JP?"
Dude, I went back to some friends that back in California after I did it for like maybe a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat in the front, and everybody thought I was a guest. People I've known for like 10 years, sitting like right next to me.
They didn't know it was you.
Oh, they went there like, "Hey, I'm Luke." I was like, "Yo, dude." And as soon as they heard my voice, they were like, "Wait, what?" People like,
What was that like? What's that experience like?
it was like the inverse of hiding in your body. Like, I was hiding in my body while everybody felt like they knew me. And then when I actually started to train it, I felt like I was in my body and nobody knew me. And I was walking around in this kind of like, nobody has, like, I felt like Jason Bourne. I was like, nobody has any idea who I am. This is wild. I get to like meet people all over again. And then as soon as I would say something or I like spend time in the moment and they'd look at me, they were like, "Wait, that's you?" And it was a wild feeling because at that point I wasn't looking for I can't wait to see what they're going to say to me. I was like, I beat the final boss. The final boss is me. And if I'm thinking good thoughts about me, I can receive other people like as a human, not as like an avatar, you know? It was amazing. So thank you.
Dude, thank you so much for coming. And thanks for coming back.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I feel very honored to be able to speak, and I hope anything that comes out of this is just encouragement to know that people aren't alone, and your body is just waiting to give you so many surprises, all wrapped up in big thank yous.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one, whenever that is.
This is a podcast for people who do gym stuff and others too.